You might think you've heard all kinds of strange stories, but I guarantee there's one true story that will make you rethink the human mind and the things happening all around us without us even noticing. This is a shocking, unexplained, and fully documented story. It's one of the strangest true stories you've probably never heard before. It all began on a quiet night in November of 1994. A woman named Jill Price was sitting alone in her small bedroom in a remote town in Washington state. It was a cold night. A thick fog blanketed the streets, and the world outside seemed unusually still. Then, at exactly 2:13 a.m., Gil heard a low humming sound. It was almost like a vibration, and it seemed to be coming from inside the walls of her room. This wasn't the sound of a machine. It wasn't a passing car. It was a steady, unnatural hum that just didn't belong. At first, she tried to ignore it, brushing it off as her imagination. But something felt profoundly off. She got up and walked toward the wall, trying to pinpoint the source. But every time she got close, the sound would just disappear. And every time she moved away, it would return, seeming even louder than before. She stood there in the middle of her room, completely perplexed, trying to figure out where this impossible sound was coming from. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the sound stopped completely. The room fell silent, but in that silence, something inside her had fundamentally changed forever. The next morning, Jill woke up feeling different. Her mind felt clear, in a way she had never experienced before in her entire life. She glanced at her watch and, in an instant, she remembered the exact moment she bought it. It was Monday, June 14th, 1982, at 3:45 in the afternoon. She remembered the blue shirt she was wearing that day, the exact route she took to the store, even the specific bus stop she had passed on her way. These weren't new memories being formed. They were old ones, stretching back over a dozen years, suddenly rushing to the surface with perfect clarity. And the strangest part, they were all perfectly accurate. The memories just kept flowing, an unstoppable flood of information. Dates, places, conversations, tiny details that nobody would ever think to notice. Gil wasn't just remembering her life. It felt like she was reliving it, moment by moment. She could recall the weather on a random Tuesday a decade ago, the scent of a perfume someone wore at a party in her teens, the precise words of a conversation she'd had years earlier. Her past was no longer a distant, hazy landscape. It was a vivid, high-definition film playing in her mind. Naturally, this was incredibly overwhelming and frightening. Gil went to the hospital for testing, nervous and worried that no one would believe her. She didn't want the doctors to think she was imagining things or making it all up. During the first test, the doctors asked her to recall 10 different events from her life. For each one, Jill gave them the exact dates, the times, the people who were there, and the places where they happened. The doctors were skeptical, to say the least. It just didn't seem possible. So, they decided to test her further, grilling her with dozens of increasingly specific questions. Where were you on January 3rd, 1989? What happened on March 22nd, 1991? When did you buy your first car? What was the first email you ever received back in 1990? She answered every single question, perfectly. The doctors were astonished. To verify her claims, they spent weeks cross-checking her memories with official records, old diaries, family photographs, and public documents. They found that her memory was nearly 100% accurate. She could even tell them what was on the news on any given day. After extensive testing and brain scans, scientists finally gave her condition a name. They concluded that Gil had a very rare condition called hyperthymesia, also known as highly superior autobiographical memory. This is a real documented condition that allows a person to remember nearly every day of their life in extraordinary detail. But even among the handful of people diagnosed with hyperthymesia, Jill's case was unique. It was on a completely different level. Most people with this condition only remember major or significant personal events. But Jill remembered everything. She remembered what she wore every single day of her adult life. She remembered the weather in detail, the way the air smelled, the specific sounds she heard. She could recall entire conversations from decades ago, word for word, even minor events that no one else would ever record or remember. Her memory wasn't just superior. It was beyond what scientists thought was the limit for a human mind. And when they asked her the crucial question, when did all of this start? Her answer sent a shiver down their spines. She replied, the night of the humming. It started immediately after the sound stopped. And here is where the story shifts from a medical marvel to a true, unexplained mystery. What was the source of that humming sound? Investigators and scientists looked into it. There were no unusual devices in the area. They checked for strange radio waves or electromagnetic fields. They found nothing. There was no logical, scientific explanation for the sound Jill heard that night. Was she hearing something that no one else could? Was it some kind of neurological phenomenon? A rare type of auditory hallucination that just happened to coincide with her brain changing? Or was it something else entirely? Her incredible ability never faded. In fact, her memory only became clearer and more detailed over time. Scientists continued to study her brain, seeing it as a unique window into the untapped potential of human memory. Yet, to this day, no one has been able to determine the connection between the two events. Was the humming sound the trigger, the cause of this sudden cognitive leap? Or was it just a bizarre, uncanny coincidence that happened on the exact night her life changed forever? To this day, Jill Price's story remains one of the strangest true stories that has baffled the scientific community. It's a case that sits at the very edge of our understanding. A sudden, unexplained ability. An event that seems to defy all logic. A complete transformation of one human mind after a mysterious sound that no one could explain. Was it a 1 in a billion neurological anomaly? Or was it a sign of something far greater? Something beyond our current comprehension? The question remains completely unanswered. But one thing is absolutely certain. Her story is one of the most shocking and truly strange tales Suve likely never heard. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more real-life mysteries that defy explanation, make sure to subscribe and follow our channel. The world is full of secrets, and we're here to uncover them together. Thanks for watching.